My father-in-law cut me out of family photos at our daughter's first birthday. Real family only, he said. My wife didn't defend me. I left the party early. By the time they needed me to co-sign their mortgage refinance, I was already filing for divorce. My father-in-law waved me out of the frame like I was photobombing a stranger's wedding. Step back, Jason. Real family only. I stood there holding Emma, my daughter, 10 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days old. Her first birthday party. 57 people crammed into the Riverside Community Center we'd rented for $300. Pink and gold balloons Sarah spent 2 hours arranging that morning. A custom cake shaped like a teddy bear that cost more than my weekly grocery budget. I'm her father, I said. Frank gestured impatiently. His Nikon D850, the camera he'd mentioned, cost north of $3,000 at least a dozen times, catching the overhead lights. You married in. That's different. Blood relatives. Come on, we're losing the light. The thing about humiliation is how it moves through your body. Starts in your chest, this hot, crushing weight. Then your hands. Mine went completely numb. I looked down and couldn't feel Emma's weight anymore. Couldn't feel my fingers gripping her little polka dot dress. I looked at Sarah, my wife, the woman I'd been with for 4 years, married for 18 months, the woman who'd held my hand through my mother's funeral, who'd helped me quit smoking, who'd cried in my arms when she found out she was pregnant, waiting for her to say something. She avoided my eyes, reached over and took Emma from my arms. The room went silent. 57 people. Sarah's 3 sisters, their husbands, their kids, her aunts and uncles, cousins I'd met maybe twice. My parents hadn't been able to make it. Dad's chemo schedule. I'd told them not to worry. Said we'd FaceTime them during the cake. Every single person watched me step aside. Frank positioned everyone, smiled his photographer smile, the one he used at weddings when he was working, not the tight grimace he gave me at Thanksgiving. Cracked jokes about everyone squeezing in. Suck it in, Phil. This isn't a wide-angle lens. Took 12 photos. I counted. 12 different configurations of Sarah's family. I stood alone against the wall, next to a folding table covered in unopened presents. Gifts I'd helped pay for, wrapped in the nursery while Sarah fed Emma, an outsider at my own daughter's first birthday. When the photos finished, Frank walked past me carrying his camera bag. Nothing personal, Jason. Just want the bloodline documented properly. Bloodline, like we were breeding thoroughbreds. I found my keys in my jacket pocket. Took me 3 tries because my hands were shaking. Sarah caught me at the door, Emma balanced on her hip. Where are you going? Home. Jason, don't be dramatic. It's just a photo. Your father called me an outsider, and you handed him our daughter. He's old-fashioned. And you're my wife. My voice came out flat, dead. You should have defended me. She crossed her arms, shifting Emma to her other side. You're making this bigger than it is. He didn't mean it like that. I stared at her, really looked at her, at the woman who'd promised to forsake all others, who'd stood in front of 140 people and vowed to honor me. No, I'm finally seeing it clearly. I left. I sat in my driveway for 23 minutes, hands shaking so badly I couldn't get the key in the ignition. Our house, the 3-bedroom ranch we'd bought 14 months ago, the one Sarah's parents had helped with the down payment, the one where her mother had opinions about every paint color, looked different, smaller, like a trap. My phone buzzed. Sarah, you're embarrassing me. Not, you're right, I should have said something. Not, I'm sorry, you're embarrassing me. I opened my contacts, scrolled to Mitchell Rosenthal, the lawyer who'd handled our house closing. Good guy, patient. Had explained every document twice because I'd been paranoid about signing something wrong. It was 3:47 p.m. on a Saturday. I called anyway. He answered on the 3rd ring. Jason, everything okay? I need a divorce lawyer. Silence. Then, can you come to my office Monday morning, 8:30? Yes. Don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything. Don't move out of the house. Bring your financial documents, pay stubs, bank statements, credit card bills for the last 6 months. I hung up, went inside, started pulling files from our home office. Monday morning, Mitchell's office smelled like coffee and old books. He sat across from me in a burgundy leather chair, legal pad in front of him, reading glasses perched on his nose. Walk me through it, I told him. Every detail. The birthday party, the photos, Frank's exact words, Sarah's silence, the text message. Mitchell took notes, didn't interrupt. When I finished, he set down his pen. How long has this been going on? 3 years, since we started dating. Give me examples. The examples came easily, too easily. I'd been storing them apparently, cataloging every slight. Thanksgiving 2 years ago. Frank carved the turkey, made a big show of giving the first slices to the real Hendersons. I'd gotten my plate last, after Sarah's 14-year-old nephew. Christmas. Frank organized a family trip to their cabin in the Poconos. Everyone invited except me. Sarah went. Left me home alone for 4 days. Easter. Family photos again. Just the bloodline. Sarah had shrugged. Said it was easier not to fight him. Last summer, they'd had a cousin's wedding. I wasn't included in the family table. Sarah sat with her parents and siblings. I ate with the DJ and the wedding planner. Mitchell wrote it all down. Flip pages. Finally looked up. Jason, I have to ask. Has Sarah physically harmed you? Has she prevented you from seeing Emma? No. Does she contribute financially to the household? We split everything 50-50. She makes slightly more than me, actually. Does she want the divorce? I haven't told her I'm filing. Mitchell nodded slowly. Pennsylvania is a no-fault divorce state. You don't need to prove abuse or a adultery, but custody, that's different. I need you to understand something. Courts favor shared custody. Mothers often have an advantage, especially with children under 2. My stomach dropped. She's taking Emma away? Not necessarily, but you need to be prepared for a fight, and you need to document everything. Every interaction with Sarah and her family, every text message, every phone call. Get a composition notebook. Write down dates, times, what was said. Do it tonight. Okay, I'll file the petition this week. Sarah will be served at her workplace. It's standard procedure. She's going to be angry. I know. Jason. Mitchell leaned forward. Are you sure about this? Once I file, there's no taking it back quietly. This becomes public record. I thought about standing against that wall. About 57 people watching me be erased from my daughter's birthday. File it. Thursday afternoon, 2:17 p.m. I was at work. I'm a civil engineer for the county, mostly reviewing municipal water treatment proposals, when my phone exploded. Sarah called 17 times in a row. I let them all go to voicemail. Then texts. What the fuck, Jason, answer your phone, are you insane? I got served at work, everyone saw call me right now. I turned my phone face down, went back to reviewing a stormwater management plan for a new housing development. My supervisor, Denise Chen, a woman in her mid-50s who'd been with the county for 23 years, knocked on my cubicle wall. You okay? Your phone keeps lighting up. Family stuff. She nodded, didn't pry. That's what I liked about Denise. Professional boundaries. At 4:30 I left work, drove to my parents' house across town. My dad was having a good day. Chemo brain fog had been brutal lately, but today he was sharp. My mom answered the door, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside. What happened? I told them. Everything. My dad sat in his recliner, the same green lazy boy he'd had since I was in middle school, and listened. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. That man disrespected you in front of your daughter. Yeah, your wife allowed it. Yeah, then you're doing the right thing. He looked at my mom. We raised him to know his worth. My phone rang. Sarah, again. I answered this time. Put it on speaker. Are you insane? Her voice was shrill, panicked. You filed for divorce? Yes. Over a photo? Over 3 years of being treated like I don't belong in my own family. We can fix this. You had your chance. When your father called me an outsider, you could have said something. You didn't. Jason, please. I'm at my parents' house. Don't call me again unless it's about Emma. I hung up. My mom made me dinner. Pot roast, potatoes, green beans. The same meal she'd made every Sunday when I was growing up. Comfort food. Stay here tonight, she said. I should go home. Jason. My dad's voice was firm. Stay. I stayed. Friday morning, 7:42 a.m., Sarah's mother called. I answered. Mistake. You're being selfish. Linda Henderson's voice dripped with disgust. Think about Emma. I am thinking about Emma. I'm thinking she deserves a father who doesn't teach her. It's okay to let people disrespect her husband. You're tearing this family apart. Your husband did that when he made it clear, I'm not family. Frank is old-fashioned. You knew that when you married Sarah. Being old-fashioned doesn't mean treating people like they're disposable. We helped you buy that house, and I've made every mortgage payment on time. The house is in both our names. Your money was a gift, not a leash. Sarah is destroyed. She's been crying for 2 days. Then maybe she should have thought about that before she handed our daughter to a man who called me an outsider. You need to drop this divorce nonsense and apologize. I hung up, blocked her number, blocked Frank's number, blocked Sarah's 3 sisters and her Aunt Carol, who'd texted me that morning calling me a vindictive coward. Mitchell had told me to document everything. I pulled out the composition notebook he'd recommended, a cheap marble-covered thing from CVS, and started writing. Thursday, 2:17 p.m. Sarah called 17 times, served at work. Thursday, 7:33 p.m. Sarah called, said, we can fix this. I told her no. Friday, 7:42 a.m. Linda Henderson called, said I'm tearing the family apart. I blocked her. The list grew longer every day. The next 2 weeks were a blur of lawyers and mediation and paperwork. Mitchell filed a custody petition, requested shared physical custody, 50-50 time with Emma. Sarah's lawyer, Christine Wang, a family law specialist with a reputation for being ruthless, countered with primary physical custody to Sarah, limited visitation for me. She's claiming you abandoned the family, Mitchell said during our meeting on Tuesday. Left the birthday party, didn't come home that night. I went to my parents' house. I know, but she's framing it as abandonment. We need to counter that. When's the last time you saw Emma? Saturday morning. I picked her up for my parenting time. 2 hours, supervised by Sarah. How'd it go? Emma was fine. Sarah cried the entire time, kept asking if I'd changed my mind. What did you say? No. Mitchell made a note. Good. Stay consistent. Don't engage emotionally. Everything is about Emma now. You're not divorcing Sarah because you're angry. You're doing it because you want to raise your daughter in an environment where both parents respect each other. That's true. I know. But we need to make sure the court knows it too. Sarah called me every single day, sometimes multiple times, crying, begging, threatening. You're going to regret this. My family will make sure you never see Emma. I'll tell the court you're unstable. Please, Jason. Please. I love you. I stopped answering. Let everything go to voicemail. Saved every message. Mitchell said they'd be useful if things got ugly. Things got ugly. Week 3. Sarah's lawyer submitted a motion claiming I'd been emotionally abusive and controlling, that I'd isolated Sarah from her family, that I'd pressured her into marriage. I stared at the documents in Mitchell's office, hands shaking. Is this real? It's a common tactic. They're trying to paint you as the bad guy. We'll respond with evidence to the contrary. Do you have text messages from Sarah? Emails? Anything showing your relationship was healthy? I pulled out my phone, scrolled through 2 years of messages. Sarah, December 2022. I'm so lucky I found you. You're my best friend. Sarah, March 2023. My dad is being difficult again. Thank you for being patient with him. Sarah, July 2023. Emma is perfect. You're going to be an amazing dad. Hundreds of messages. Loving, normal, nothing abusive. Mitchell smiled. Send these to me. All of them. 4 weeks in, Frank called. I almost didn't answer. The number wasn't blocked. I'd forgotten to add it after blocking Linda's. Jason, we need to talk. About what? Our mortgage. His voice was tight, strained, desperate in a way I'd never heard before. The bank's requiring us to refinance. Interest rates went up 3 points since we bought the house in 2019. Our monthly payment is going from $2,400 to $3,800. I sat up straight. I was at my apartment. I'd moved out of the house 2 weeks prior, gotten a 1-bedroom in a complex near my office, temporary, until the divorce settled. And your credit score is excellent. 780 last I checked. We need you to co-sign. The world narrowed. Everything else fell away. Why would I do that? Because we're family. I laughed. Actually laughed. A sharp, bitter sound that surprised me. Family? Real family only, right? That's what you said. Silence on the line. I could hear Frank breathing, heavy, ragged. Frank, you made it very clear I'm not real family, so find someone who is. Jason, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. You wanted blood relatives only. Go ask one of them. None of them qualify. Phil's credit is shot from the business bankruptcy. Linda's sister has a 620 score. Sarah's brother has 3 kids in college and can't take on more debt. Not my problem. If we don't refinance, we lose the house. My heart pounded. 3 years of humiliation. Every holiday, every gathering, always the outsider. Every family photo where I was cropped out, edited out, erased. Every time Sarah had said, he doesn't mean it. Every time I'd swallowed my anger and smiled. Should have thought about that before you cut me out of my daughter's birthday photos. That was just Frank's voice cracked. That was just me being stupid. I'll apologize. We all will. Formal apology, whatever you want. Too late. Please. Sarah needs us to keep this house. She grew up here. This is Emma's heritage. Sarah made her choice. She stood by while you humiliated me. While you told me I wasn't family. She didn't say a word. Jason, you wanted real family only, Frank. Well, congratulations. Now you get to find out what that actually means. I hung up. My hands were shaking again. Not from fear this time. From something else. Something that felt like power. Sarah called me 14 seconds later. My dad just told me, you have to co-sign. No, I don't. They'll lose their house. And I lost my family. Seems fair. This is cruel. My voice went cold. Colder than I'd ever heard it. You know what's cruel. Watching your father-in-law erase you from your daughter's birthday while your wife stands there silent. I didn't know what to say. You could have said, Dad, that's my husband. He stays in the photo. 4 years together, and you couldn't manage that. She started crying. Full sobs. If you ever loved me, I did love you. Past tense. The woman I loved would have defended me. Jason, they're my parents, and I was your husband. Was. I hung up, turned off my phone, sat in the silence of my empty apartment. 3 days later, Mitchell called. The bank rejected Frank and Linda's refinance application. Sarah's lawyer reached out. They're offering you a deal. What kind of deal? Drop the divorce. Co-sign the mortgage. They'll cover your legal fees. Linda wrote a formal apology letter. He paused. Jason, I need to advise you. I'm not taking it. You haven't heard the terms. I don't care about the terms. They had 3 years to treat me like family. They had 3 years to make Sarah see I was worth defending. I'm not bailing them out now. Mitchell was quiet for a moment. Okay, I'll tell Christine. Frank called one last time. Saturday morning, 9:15 a.m. I'd just finished a run, trying to burn off the stress that kept me awake until 2 a.m. most nights. You're really going to let us lose everything? I thought about Emma's first birthday, standing against that wall. 57 people watching me get erased, watching my wife choose her father over me. No, Frank, you already lost everything. You just didn't realize it until you needed me. Please, tell me again how I'm not real family. The line went quiet. I could hear him breathing, shaky, defeated. That's what I thought. Next time you need an outsider to save your house, remember this moment. I ended the call. They lost the house 6 weeks later. Mitchell told me during our final custody hearing. Sarah had showed up with red eyes, no makeup, wearing a wrinkled blouse. Her lawyer looked exhausted. The judge awarded us 50-50 custody. 1 week with me, 1 week with Sarah. Every other holiday. Fair split of expenses. Mr. Brewer, the judge said, looking at me over her reading glasses, I see no evidence of abuse or neglect. I see 2 parents who need to learn to co-parent effectively. I'm ordering family counseling, both of you. For Emma's sake. Sarah wouldn't look at me. Outside the courthouse, she finally spoke. They moved into my Aunt Carol's basement. All their furniture is in storage. I said nothing. My dad had a heart attack last week. Stress-induced. He's okay, but her voice broke. Was it worth it? Destroying them? I looked at her. Really looked at her. At the woman I'd loved. The woman who'd let her father humiliate me. The woman who'd valued her family's approval more than her husband's dignity. I didn't destroy them, Sarah. I just stopped saving them. There's a difference. I walked to my car. Drove to my parents' house. My dad was sleeping. The chemo made him tired. But my mom was in the kitchen, making soup. How'd it go? 50-50 custody. She hugged me, held on tight. Your father's proud of you. I'm proud of you. Frank had a heart attack. She pulled back, looked at me. And nothing. I just thought you should know. She nodded slowly. Jason, I'm going to tell you something your grandmother told me when I left your father's brother's wedding early after his wife made a comment about my dress. She said, you teach people how to treat you. Every time you accept disrespect, you give them permission to do it again. You stopped giving permission. They lost their house. They lost their house because they couldn't afford it without help. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to your daughter, to show her what it means to have boundaries, to have self-respect. 6 months later, I'm sitting in my new apartment, a 2-bedroom now, so Emma has her own room during my weeks. Watching her play with blocks on the living room floor. She's 15 months old, starting to say words. Dada, mama, no, that's her favorite. My phone buzzes. A text from Sarah. My parents are moving to Arizona. Linda's brother offered them a room. I don't respond. Another text. Dad wants to apologize. Formally, face to face. I type, not interested. My dad died 3 weeks ago. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. 12 months from diagnosis to the end. He met Emma 6 times during my custody weeks. Held her. Sang to her. Told her stories about when I was little. You did good, Jason, he said during our last conversation. Morphine made him dreamy, distant. You showed her dignity matters. He never met Frank. Never spoke to Sarah's family again. At the funeral, Sarah showed up. Stood in the back. Left before the reception. She'd sent flowers. A card. I'm sorry for your loss. Not, I'm sorry for everything. Not, I was wrong. Just, I'm sorry for your loss.